Since boyhood, a man is trained to obey, not the sword nor reason, but expectation. He was taught to smile when he feels anger, to give in when he wants to advance, to stay silent when something inside him screams. Obedience became a virtue, and behind every good boy there hides a domesticated spirit. Nietzsche wouldn't call him a man, but a pet of society, one who was taught to seek applause instead of truth. He inherits, without realizing it, a lie carefully wrapped in sweet words. Behave and you will be loved. The most tragic part? He believes it. He grows up thinking he is choosing, that he is in control. But everything he is was shaped by invisible hands. From school to relationships, every step he takes echoes an inherited expectation. And when he finally loves, he does not love as a free man, but as a servant waiting for a reward. The idea of unconditional love, it was implanted like a virus in his mind to keep him docile, craving validation that keeps him eternally weak. Nietzsche warned, where there is blind obedience, there is no greatness and only survival. This system that shaped him does not want him to think. It wants him to repeat, to be functional, predictable, harmless. They transformed masculinity into something to be controlled, not understood. They repressed his deepest instincts, the desire to conquer, the silent ambition, the creative force, and convinced him that all of this is toxic. They didn't realize that by castrating his fire, they made his soul sick. What once was a lion and today meows begging for love. But the tragedy is not living like this. It is not even realizing there is another way to exist. Some, however, begin to feel a subtle discomfort, a raw unease that grows in the silence. These can no longer bear the invisible chains. Nietzsche would call them free spirits, men willing to burn their inherited lies and be reborn. They walk alone, but they are not weak. They do not seek to be loved. They seek to be real. And when a man like this awakens, he does not become merely conscious, he becomes dangerous. If you felt this call, then you have already begun to burn inside. Keep going. The next step is to abandon the lie and reclaim your mind. After learning to obey, man learns to love, but not with his heart, with illusion. He's told that love is sacred, that it must be earned with flowers, promises, and sacrifice. He's taught that his life will only have meaning when he finds the one, and he believes it. But what no one tells him is that this idea of love was not born from truth, but from convenience. Nietzsche saw modern romantic love as a collective trance, a fragile construction designed to distract man from his inner void and bring him to his knees smiling. This kind of love is not free. It's a transaction disguised as poetry. Affection only lasts as long as the script is followed. Affection in exchange for obedience. Desire in exchange for stability. The love sold today is not surrender, it's a contract. And in that contract, the man always pays more than he receives. Nietzsche, with his hammer, would not hesitate to smash this altar, because he saw in this kind of love a hidden prison where desire is conditioned and instinct is tamed until there is no strength left, only attachment and emotional dependence. It's at this point that many lose themselves. They confuse intensity with love, control with care, need with devotion. They chase an idea that was never theirs. It was inherited. Just like herd morality, romantic love exists to soothe, align, and neutralize. And when a man gives himself to it unconsciously, he stops living and starts serving. He doesn't realize that deep down, what he loves is not the woman, but the image of himself being accepted by her. It's the ego disguised as romance. It's the emptiness begging to be filled by someone who doesn't even know who he is. The awakened mind begins to see. The love you were taught is not love. It's an emotional product, a fantasy sold through songs, movies, and promises. And when a man burns that lie, something in him is reborn. He does not reject love, he purifies it. And then the question arises, what do you truly love? And what did you merely learn to desire? Nietzsche knew that few would dare to answer, but those who do begin the deprogramming. If you've had the courage to doubt the idea of love you inherited, then maybe you're ready to discover what lies beneath it. And what can be born when a man chooses to feel without kneeling. A man who does not think for himself needs a figure to think for him. And as he grows up, without realizing it, he replaces his mother's lap with the structure of the system. A new womb envelops him, colder, subtler, but just as controlling. They call it safety, civilization, progress. But Nietzsche saw behind this structure something far more dangerous, a slow poisoning of the will. Man believes he is being protected, when in truth, he is being anesthetized. The system around him cares for him as if he were an eternal child. It tells him what to wear, what to feel, how to relate, when to speak, when to stay silent. He doesn't realize it, but his identity is forged by 1,000 invisible hands. School shapes his behavior, media shapes his desires, and society shapes his guilt, all under the disguise of order. Nietzsche would say, the price of comfort is the loss of authenticity, and what is often called peace is merely the silence of a domesticated spirit. This maternal structure, nurturing on the surface, castrating at its core, does not want man to question. An awakened man is a threat, a man who feels anger without guilt, who desires without asking permission, who thinks without needing approval, is dangerous. That's why the system praises him when he fits in, but punishes him when he confronts. The one who breaks the mold is quickly labeled troubled, toxic, or rebellious. Nietzsche saw in this the signature of mediocrity, a society that prefers good men over free men. But some begin to feel discomfort, like a subtle unease in the soft lap they've been resting on. They realize that protection became a prison and that comfort left them weak. These few men leave the womb. They break with the system, and like newborns in the dark, they begin to see with their own eyes. If you're beginning to question the comfort around you, you may already be opening the door to your own mind. And true freedom, the kind no one can give you, begins at that exact moment. You believe you're in control, that every decision you make is the result of logic, desire, freedom. You believe you chose your career, your preferences, your relationships. But Nietzsche warned, even the will can be a carefully constructed illusion. The modern man doesn't live. He reacts. He reacts to what he was programmed to desire. His choices are not born from awareness, but from conditioning, like puppets smiling, at their own strings. Since childhood, you were taught to like what brought you acceptance. You were conditioned to avoid confrontation, to adapt, to seek the most approved path, not the most authentic one. And when the time came to choose who to love, how to live, or what to pursue, you repeated the script you inherited. The woman you idealize isn't born from your soul. She's a reflection of an image created to keep you vulnerable. The job you idolize, it's a race for validation, not for freedom. None of it is a choice, it's programmed selection. The truth is brutal. You were chosen to serve, to consume, to conform. The system no longer needs conscious men. It needs predictable pieces. And the more you believe you're choosing, the more deeply you are trapped. Nietzsche said true freedom requires an inner destruction, a confrontation with everything you thought you were, because as long as you keep chasing what you were taught to desire, you will keep living as a character in someone else's play. But there is a silence where something begins to crack. When you stop acting on autopilot and start observing the why behind your impulses, your choices, your desires, that's when deprogramming begins. It's not about rejecting the world, it's about confronting it with clear eyes. And when you realize even your will was inherited, the only way out is to forge a new one, your own. Because every man who awakens to this truth has only two options: keep being chosen or start creating himself. Instinct is the raw spark of man. Before being domesticated, he was impulse, will, movement. But the modern world, the same one that protects and feeds him, began to see that force as a threat. So the system did what it always does with what it cannot control. It tried to eliminate it. Nietzsche saw this as the murder of the will, an invisible war against the masculine essence, waged in the name of order, morality, and civility. This repression doesn't come with chains, but with labels. Today, the man who asserts himself is toxic. The one who desires intensely is immature. The one who strays from the narrative is dangerous. The lion became a threat, so they asked him to act like a house cat. Little by little, he agreed. Will was replaced by doubt, desire by guilt, anger by fear of being wrong, and instinct, that ancestral fire that drives the warrior, the creator, the leader, was smothered by a suffocating embrace called ideal behavior. Nietzsche said that where strength is repressed, illness is born. And that is what we see today. Men sick with passivity, exploding inside while conforming on the outside. Men who erase themselves to fit the mold, who swallow their impulses to seem acceptable. They've forgotten that the will to power is sacred. That controlled aggression is a tool for building, not destroying. That firm presence, a strong voice and clear action are legitimate expressions of a living soul, not character flaws. But instinct doesn't die, it only sleeps. And when a man begins to question everything that silenced him, when he feels that his anger has deeper roots, he begins to return to his nature. Not to become brutish, but to become whole. If you're tired of apologizing for who you are, then maybe you're ready to stop mutilating yourself from within. Because the man who buries his instinct buries with it the chance to be free. Freedom, a word proudly repeated by those who fear it. Most. Because to be truly free requires more than breaking rules. It demands facing one's own abyss. And the modern man, heir to centuries of fear, prefers the comfort of a cage to the brutal responsibility that comes with autonomy. Nietzsche saw this clearly. The last man is not the one who fails, but the one who avoids risk, the one who trades greatness for predictability, who prefers to survive rather than live dangerously. From an early age, you were trained to follow orders, seek approval and avoid conflict. School taught you that the right answer is the one that pleases. Religion that to desire is to sin. Culture that being strong is oppressive. Everything was designed so that, as you grow up, you continue asking for permission, even to exist. Freedom was turned into a burden, and like an animal caged for too long, man now fears the open door more than the bars that confine him. That's why, when he starts to awaken, the first feeling isn't peace, it's panic. Because awakening comes at a price. It strips away emotional crutches, shatters certainties, and isolates you from the crowd. To be free means to no longer have someone to blame or a place to hide. And the average man, raised to be the system's child, doesn't want that responsibility. He wants comfort, direction, someone to tell him what to do. And that's why, even unconsciously, he resists freedom with all his might. But there is a kind of man who begins to feel something else in place of fear, restlessness, a desire not for comfort, but for truth. He senses that he was not born to walk in circles, nor to live inside the limits he was given. Nietzsche would call him a free spirit, the one who dares to lose everything that kept him asleep, in order to finally wake up. And if you've already realized that your prison smells like inheritance and your freedom tastes like a leash, then maybe you're ready to take the first step the system fears most, the conscious choice. Man was sold an ideal of happiness that never truly belonged to him. From an early age, he learned that to be happy means having a stable job, a comfortable home, a picture-perfect family, and the approval of society. But this happiness is superficial, a mask that covers a silent abyss within. Nietzsche saw this dissonance clearly, where the external smile hides internal anguish and routine is mistaken for fulfillment. True joy, he said, is not found in conformity, but in the constant struggle. This model of happiness is a golden prison. It offers safety but steals purpose. The man smiles at the world, but something inside him slowly fades. The fire of will, the sparkle of dreams, the drive to be more than just a product of expectations. He becomes a passive spectator of his own life, living for others, satisfied with scraps of approval and afraid of conflict. Nietzsche condemned this kind of existence, what he called the life of the last man, where stagnation is the price of peace. The worst part is that many don't even realize they are trapped in this illusion. If the happiness were real, it wouldn't demand constant self-denial, nor would it suffocate the deepest desires. But the system doesn't want restless men who question, who rebel. It prefers the compliant, those who settle for a fake smile and avoid discomfort. True joy demands pain, rupture, challenge, and that is a high price few are willing to pay. Still, the restlessness grows. Those who feel the emptiness beneath the mask begin to seek something different. Not the happiness sold in neat packages, but a life with meaning, even if it's harder. Nietzsche reminds us that pain is the foundation of transformation, and that only those who face their inner chaos can reach true freedom. If you've already realized that what they call happiness doesn't fill the void inside you, then maybe you're ready for the next step, the complete deprogramming of your mind and the rebirth of the true man that lives within you. Awakening is not a sudden moment of enlightenment. It is a brutal process of deconstruction, a deprogramming of a mind that was shaped to accept lies as truth. It is like a long inner winter where everything you believed yourself to be is slowly melted away, revealing a raw and untamed land beneath. Nietzsche knew that few have the courage to cross this desert, for the path demands that you confront your own shadows, your deepest beliefs, and your fear of solitude. During this deprogramming, the external voices that once guided your decisions begin to fade. You find yourself alone with your doubts, lost between the comfort of ignorance and the weight of knowledge. What once felt certain now lies in ruins. But within that chaos lies the opportunity to rewrite your story, to reclaim the authenticity that was stolen from you. It is the beginning of a journey where the old self dies so the true self can be born. Nietzsche called this process the overcoming of oneself, a continuous act of death and rebirth. It's not just about questioning the world, but about questioning yourself, breaking away from inherited masks and taking full responsibility for your own existence. This deprogramming is painful because it demands the renunciation of comforting illusions, but it is also liberating because it opens the door to an inner power no system can control. And so, the man who dares to deprogram himself is never the same. He becomes a free spirit, a silent force that challenges norms, a warrior who seeks not approval but authenticity. If you felt that restlessness growing within, know that you are standing at the threshold of this transformation, and the next step will be the most dangerous and the most powerful of all, to reclaim your mind and your destiny as a true overman. When a man finally frees himself from the lies he inherited, he does not return to the comforting ignorance he once knew. He rises from the ashes as something new, silent, dangerous, relentless. Nietzsche would call him the overman, the one who transcends the herd morality, who breaks the chains of convention and asserts himself through his own will to power. This man does not seek applause or validation. He is the force that challenges the world, and this transformation is what the system fears most, because a free spirit is a virus to the established order. But awakening is not for everyone. It is a solitary path, filled with pain, inner battles, and loss. It means abandoning false securities and facing the unknown. Most people choose the comfortable prison, the inherited lie, because the price of freedom is high. Nietzsche reminds us that true courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward despite it. And that courage is what separates the common man from the warrior of consciousness. If you've come this far, feeling the fire of restlessness burn inside you, know this: you've already taken the first steps that many fear. You now stand before the most important choice of your life: to remain a piece in someone else's game or to become the architect of your own destiny. The inherited lie still tries to seduce you with its sweet voice, but now you know the truth. And what comes next is not an easy path. It is the rebirth of your deepest power. So I ask you, who hears these words? Will you keep sleeping, feeding the illusion you inherited? Or will you rise, break the invisible chains, and finally reclaim your mind, your body, and your life? The next step is yours, and the world only changes when man burns the lie and is reborn into truth. Thank you for watching until the end, and for taking the time to question the truths that were imposed on you. If these ideas stirred something within you and awakened something deep, subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of self-knowledge and awakening. Here, we seek the truth without filters, and we want to walk alongside you toward a free and powerful mind. Welcome to the Inner Revolution.